I made my son take a paternity test for his cheating girlfriend and now he's mad at me. I have two kids, a boy who's 17 and a daughter who's 10. When I was 21 I had a one-night stand which resulted in my son Austin, the father wanting nothing to do with my child. When my son was 3, I met my husband Mark. My son adores my husband and calls him father. Austin met his current girlfriend through Mark's best friend Alan, her father. Macy and Austin have been close since they were young and we were all thrilled when we found out they were dating. After we found out, Mark and I sat Austin down and explained that we were happy for him, but we needed him to know the importance of safe intimacy, whether it was happening or not. He was disgusted but said he understood and we left it at that. For context, my son is what others describe as shy and soft-spoken. He's really sensitive and takes harsh comments/actions to heart. We thought everything was fine with him until he came home crying. He eventually told us Macy had cheated on him. I was angry and urged my son to leave, but my husband called us both and asked to speak with Austin privately. Essentially, he asked Austin what he wanted to do and if he wanted us to stop seeing Macy and her father. Austin said he didn't want that and wanted to work things out with Macy. I was upset but didn't say anything. Ever since that happened, I've hated seeing her around. All I think about when I see her is my son, distressed and crying, his eyes out. I act cordially around her, but I don't like her. Around February, Austin came home looking rather upset again, so I sat down with him and asked what was going on. I wasn't expecting to hear him say what he said to me. Macy's pregnant. I was furious. I told him I expected better from him. I also said that before anything happened, he needed to do a paternity test. He was angry that I suggested she cheated again, but I didn't like how she was suddenly pregnant. When Mark came home from work, I filled him in and he was equally upset. We all sat down and were disgusted. Austin explained that I demanded a paternity test was done and Mark wasn't happy to hear that. I explained that she'd cheated before. She could have cheated again. That led to a huge argument. Before we all calmed down, I asked if her parents knew. Apparently not. He said she agreed to tell them tonight and sure enough, about an hour later Mark gets an angry call from Alan demanding that my son marries his daughter, and if Austin refuses, he demands that he pay child support and stay out of this kid's life. Of course, we were all angry and exhausted. So I said that nothing was happening until a paternity test was done and I wasn't taking the word of a cheating little girl. He blew up at us and it was radio silence. After the call, Macy was told she could no longer see Austin and he took it out on me. A few weeks ago Alan contacted us and agreed to do a paternity test. I asked why the sudden change but he ignored me. He said he set up the appointment for May 5th. Austin went with Mark. He said he didn't want to be around me. It stung and I won't lie. It made me cry. When he said the results finally came in a few nights ago and he isn't the father, he was shattered. Instead of apologizing, he screamed that this was my fault and he'd have never known. He hasn't said much to me since. Maybe I was wrong for making him do a paternity test, but I was only looking out for my son. Was I wrong for making him take a paternity test?